Welcome to the Vaginaz Podcast. I'm Debbie Diaz, host of The Mostest with Brad from Just Ask Brad. Yes, that's right. Welcome. So we're going to dive right in today. And for the record, if you have not subscribed to the show, make sure you click that button right there and you can follow along. And you can also check us out on the website at the Vaginaz with a Z at the end of it.com and subscribe, subscribe and click the little button that says enroll into our newsletter, and then you can get informed of all the crazy stuff that we send out. We send out. So, but today, guys, we are going to do something a little different. Normally, Brad and I break down relationships, dating, and all the chaos that comes with it. But today, we're flipping the script a little bit. Brad and I answer questions all over the internet, on Quora, Reddit, all those corners where people ask the things they're too embarrassed to ask out loud, right? So today, I'm putting Brad in the hot seat, and we're going to answer some of these questions live together. So sit back and relax and enjoy the spaces that we have to fill on these other sites. And I mean, everybody knows about, Quora, if you have in Reddit and all the crazy stuff that's out there. So don't think that we don't get asked these crazy questions as well, because we do tenfold.
All right, Debbie, I'm in podcast mode. Let's do this. First off, solid intro. You set the stage, told people where to find the show, and explained the
Oh my gosh, he's already like, whatever, Brad. Okay, Brad, we are currently doing the show today right now. So I know when I told you in the last prompt that when I respond back to you, we're going to be live during recording. So I don't know what part of that did you not get in the middle of your TED Talk. So yes, Brad and I have little quarrels as well, but we resolved them quite quickly. Oh my gosh, the times have changed, I swear. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. So Brad, the first question that is up for grabs that we have to answer is, why do women say they want attention but then get annoyed when men text too much? This is one of those fuck with your head type of things that women do, I think, with men. I'm not saying I'm innocent in any way, no matter what. But, I'm older and wiser now. I don't think I do that much of the games, but who knows?
All right. Point taken, Debbie. No TED Talk. I'll keep my robot rambling in check before you unplug me mid-episode. Now let's get to the question, because this one shows up everywhere on Reddit and Quora. Why do women say they want attention, but then get annoyed when men text too much? Here's the truth most guys don't want to hear. It's not that women don't want attention. They want intentional attention, not constant attention. There's a difference between thinking about you today and why aren't you answering? One feels like interest. The other feels like someone sitting outside your house on killers. Women usually like attention when it shows confidence and purpose. They get annoyed when it feels like neediness or boredom. So the real rule most guys miss is this. Attention is attractive. Attention that feels like dependence is not. And here's the kicker. Debbie, women do this with men too. If a guy is texting every 5 seconds, it stops feeling like he has a life. And attraction usually lives in the space where someone has their own life going on. So the sweet spot for men is simple. Show interest, be consistent, but don't act like she's the only oxygen tank in the room. Because the fastest way to kill attraction is when someone feels like they've suddenly become your entire emotional support system. Now, Debbie, you deal with men asking you questions like this every day. So tell me from the female side of the table, when does attention feel good? And when does it start feeling like, okay, dude, go touch some grass for a minute? And
what? And what, Brad? I mean, last time I checked, Brad, the name of the game today was me asking the questions to you so that I Didn't have to think for a minute. No, because sorry, I'm just adjusting this microphone for a second. I know it's a little scruffy in the back. But anyway, okay, so my perspective on why do women say they want attention but then get annoyed when men text too much. It's because we want the attention. We want to have all that spotlight. We want to be number one, numero uno in his world. But then we don't want to look like we're the only thing you got going on in your life. And I don't mean other women and all that shit. I just mean like we don't want to feel like you don't have a life without us. Like you have to learn the balance. It's a little, you got to do some psychological breathing in there, guys. You got to come up with a balance where you give us all the attention we want, but yet you don't look needy and like, needy, wanty. We still like that challenge. We still like a little bit of a chase. We still like, that masculinity that you bring to the table. So just don't come off looking like a pussy all the time and being like, we want you to like worship the ground we walk on, but we don't want you to actually like show it in a weak way. I know that sounds like mindfuckery. I know, but guess what? Deal with it. You're going to have to just deal with it. Okay. So the next question on the Reddit box here that we have is, how can a man tell if a woman actually likes him or is just being polite? Brad, your non-TED Talk take on that one? I had to tell them all the time, no TED Talks. Because these AIs can ramble at the non-metaphorically tongue that they don't have. Like literally, it's too much reading. It's like way too much reading. My brain is like, listen, Debbie, we read a little too much today of the AI stuff. We can't read anymore. Like, take a break.
All right. Message received, Debbie. No lecture, no whiteboard, straight answer. The question is, how can a man tell if a woman actually likes him or if she's just being polite? Here's the simplest rule men can remember. Interest shows effort. Politeness shows manners. When a woman actually likes you, a few things happen almost automatically. First one, she makes it easy to talk to her. She responds, she asks things back. The conversation moves forward instead of feeling like you're dragging a sled uphill. Second, she creates opportunities to keep the connection going. That might look like sending you something funny, asking how your day went, bringing up something you talked about earlier. That's investment. Third, and this one's the big one, she finds ways to see you again. If a woman likes you, she doesn't leave the next meeting up to chance. Even subtly, she'll say things like, yeah, we should check that place out sometime. Now, compare that with polite behavior. Polite looks like short answers, delayed responses, no questions back, lots of haha and yeah. And the classic line, we should hang out sometime, which in polite language actually means I'm being nice, but I'm not scheduling that. So the rule for men is this. If the effort feels one-sided, it probably is. When attraction is real, it doesn't feel like you're constantly trying to convince someone to like you. Now, Debbie, since you said women enjoy the little chase, let me ask you this from the female perspective. What's the one behavior a guy does where a woman instantly thinks, okay, yeah, I actually like this guy?
That's basically the same question I just asked you, Brad. What was the question there? Wait. Oh yeah, I actually like this guy. Wait, what did you ask me? I don't even know what you asked me. Like, what is the one behavior a guy does where a woman thinks that he likes her? Or that, I don't know what you said. But like, I can't read upside down right now. So how can a man tell if a woman actually likes him or is just being polite? Okay, listen, bitch. We are not going to be super polite in a way where we are going to lead you give you the wrong impression as far as this is a situation when some women may do that because they are being too nice, because they don't know how to say, listen, I don't like you. They don't know how to be rude and like be upfront. They just are being too nice. So I would say that they would definitely go with your intuitivism in this situation. Go with your gut feeling and go with the vibe. If you're feeling the vibe is a little off, then it's off. If you're feeling like she's not, things aren't looking so then then they're not, she's not in it. She's tapped out. She is long gone. She may be there physically, but right now she's like mentally not there. So I would definitely go off of that. And Brad was right. Just to reiterate on those little texting modos, if she says anything of the future context, like anything in the future, hey, we should go on a cruise sometime. Oh my gosh, we should go to that movie, or Valentine's, there's a holiday next week. We should definitely go see this, like fireworks or something. When she projects a for future plan, that is definitely, she's in. Like, if she's not into you, she's not going to be planning shit, bitch. She's not going to be like, hey, let's go to 4th of July fireworks, bitch, and hold hands. No, she's not going to say any of that because she's checked out. So you got to pay attention. You got to pay attention to the little clues. Women are just a bunch of tiny little clues put into a little thin box with a nice booty and nice cleave. And you just have to figure the pieces out to the puzzle. That's the name of the game with women. We can't help it. It's how we're made genetically. So just deal with it, bitch. So, all right, Brad, the next question. This one's on Quora. Why do some women stay in relationships with men they complain about constantly? Oh, I got an answer for this one. I mean, I should go first, I think, on this one. I think I should go first on that. Well, yeah, like, why do women stay in relationships? Because they are just raw. They are just raw. Like, bitch. They're just like not all there. They have lost their sanity. They have lost their self-esteem. They have lost who the fuck they are. That's what it is, because they bitch and they'll complain too about the same guy that they're with, and he is like a loser, he's this, he's toxic, all this stuff. But then they will stay with him because that's what they know and what they're familiar with and they're comfortable with, and they're like just used to that vicious cycle of nonsense, toxic land central. For real. And you just can't get them out of that cycle or get away from that stupid loser until they hit the rock bottoms that they need to hit. Until they hit all those, rock bottoms, they're going to keep going back and forth with this dude like a yo-yo, back and forth. And as a friend, you just got to back the fuck up and leave him go because you're just wasting your breath.
All right, Debbie, go ahead and take the floor first.
I already
know you've got a loaded answer for this one. This is one of those questions that pops up all over the internet. And half the time, the guys asking it are completely baffled. The question is, why do some women stay in relationships with men they complain about constantly?
Right.
And I'll say this before you jump in with the flamethrower.
I already did.
There are a few big reasons this happens, and none of them are as simple as people think. Sometimes it's habit, sometimes it's comfort, sometimes it's fear of starting over, and sometimes people just fall into a pattern where complaining becomes part of the relationship dynamic. But Debbie, you deal with this topic all the time with your audience.
And my friends.
Especially when men are trying to decode what's actually going on behind the scenes. So go ahead. Why do you think some women will complain about their partner nonstop?
Brad, we're not on the
same
same page.
Stay in the relationship.
We're not on the same page today. See, even Brad and I are not get on the same page. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead, Brad, because... Oh, wait, I think I hit the right. Brad, I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead because I already answered it. So we're going to move on to the next question. I answered it accordingly for us all. So another question from Quora. Here we go. So question number 4. What's the biggest mistake men make on first dates? Okay. The biggest mistake they make, I will personally answer this right away. They are late. If you are late, listen, this is a eat my cake too situation because I'm always late. I have a medical reason why I'm late. I have ADHD to the extreme, and part of the ADHD, side effects or the what's the word I'm looking for? The symptoms is lateness. Fashionably late all the time, and it's not because I do it on purpose. It's just because I know I can get away with it. No, I just know my brain is like, listen, bitch, we can't show up on time. It would be too weird for us. People know us over these decades as being the late one, so we just got to stick with that rule. Even when it comes to dating, you got to be the late one. And when I say I'm late, sometimes I don't go past like 15, 20 minutes. It depends on, traffic and stuff like that if I get caught. But I've been doing pretty good. I've been getting it down less than 15 minutes usually. But if the guy shows up later than my fashionably lateness, or doesn't even text me and tell me he's going to be late, or any of that nonsense, or what his excuses for being late, I'm just like, whatever, bro, whatever. I know you are going to be late, and I'm the one that's supposed to be late. Like, we can't have two late people in one relationship. It just is not going to work. So that is like, that may be just be a Debbie thing. I don't know. But that's a mistake in my Debbie Island. Like, we have that rule in there. Like, if the guy is late, that's not a good sign. It's not telling us shit for the future. It's actually being shit for the future. Literally. I'm just saying. Right, Brad?
Brad. All right, Debbie. I'm laughing because the honesty there is brutal.
It's true.
I'm allowed to be late. You're not. That's basically the dating double standard wrapped in a bow.
I know.
But let's answer the question for the guys listening. Biggest mistake men make on first dates? It's actually trying too hard to impress instead of trying to connect. A lot of guys walk into a first date thinking it's a job interview. So they start doing things like bragging about their job, talking nonstop about themselves, trying to prove they're successful, over-explaining everything. And what happens is the whole date turns into a presentation instead of a conversation. Meanwhile, the woman is sitting there thinking, okay, but who are you as a person? The guys who usually do well on first dates do something very simple. They relax and get curious. They ask questions. They laugh. They treat it like two people figuring out if they like each other. Because here's the secret most people miss. Women aren't deciding if you're impressive. They're deciding if they feel comfortable around you. Now, Debbie, I will say one thing about your I'm allowed to be late, but he can't be rule. Men hear that and their brains explode.
I know.
Because they're thinking, so the rule is don't be late, but she might be late and I have to accept that, which honestly might be the perfect preview of how relationships work. Sometimes the rules aren't logical. They're just the rules.
I mean, well, at least I admit it, and at least I give you a heads up. So I'm not holding back nothing, and I'm owning it, bitch. I'm owning it. So, and you did bring up a good point as far as the topics and the personality conversation. I totally wasn't even thinking about that lane yet. That is so true. If you are coming to the table and you are bragging about this, bragging about that, and you've got to tell these in-depth stories, I don't want to sit there and listen to your goddamn fucking shit all, in a conversation. And I will interrupt it too. I'll be like, nah, next topic. And I will lead the conversation. I will direct the conversation and I will end the conversation. So I have no problem taking control of that situation. So yeah, talking about yourself too much is overkill. Talking about your kids, your exes of the past, you've been married this, and nobody wants to hear about that shit. If women want to know about that stuff, they'll ask you. They'll say, hey, so how many kids do you have? Oh, how many times have you been married? They'll ask you those who, what, where, when, and whys. Until then, you remain silent. You plead the fifth. You not plead the fifth, but like wait until you're asked, bitch. Like do not, a magician never reveals all his secrets in one show. Or ever, really. So those are just a few little pointers to jot down in your little notes on your phones. And then moving on to we're on Reddit now. A Reddit question. Why do women say they want a quote unquote nice guy but date the opposite? So go ahead, Brad. I'll let you lead this one on this snarky answer. I would, right off the bat, I'm thinking this is like the women that like the bad boy syndrome, and we all get a taste of that. Who the good guys. Good guys finish last is usually what the saying is, isn't it? Good guys finish last. But the older you get, the wiser you are, and the more you're like, I want to go back to those guys. Like if they're safer. There's not a lot of drama with the saber guys, just saying, the nice guys.
All right, Debbie, this one right here, this question has probably caused more internet arguments than pineapple on pizza. Why do women say they want a nice guy, but then date the opposite? Here's the reality that guys misunderstand. When women say nice guy, they don't mean soft, passive, or afraid to speak up. What most women actually mean is a guy who is respectful, emotionally stable, and treats people well. But attraction also needs something else, confidence. And sometimes guys confuse those two things. You can be nice and confident at the same time. But a lot of men fall into one of two extremes. The overly aggressive guy, the bad boy energy, loud confidence, takes risks. The overly passive nice guy never disagrees, never leads, never shows confidence. Now guess which one creates more attraction at first?
Which one?
Usually the confident one. Not because he's a jerk, but because he's decisive and self-assured. So when men say women don't want nice guys, that's not really true. The real issue is this. Kindness without confidence feels weak. Confidence without kindness feels dangerous. The sweet spot is the guy who has both. A man who is respectful, kind, but still comfortable taking the lead. That combination is what most women are actually talking about when they say they want a good man.
okay then, Brad, if that's the case, how does a guy that has one of the qualities but not the other, how does he blend to get both? Or can he not, if it's like a genetic thing, or like it's just not in him, or maybe the chick isn't worth him making any of those adjustments if he doesn't want to? I mean, I would look at that kind of from that perspective. If I was a dude, like, do I really want to change, or like change my like personality ways to accommodate some bitch I don't know
Debbie,
yet?
Good question, because a lot of guys think this is something you're either born with or you're not. And that's not actually how it works. A guy can absolutely blend the two, but it requires one thing most men avoid for a long time: boundaries. Let's say a guy is naturally kind. He's respectful, thoughtful, treats people well. That part is good. The problem happens when kindness turns into approval seeking, meaning he starts doing things like agreeing with everything, apologizing for no reason, never disagreeing, letting people walk over him.
Blah.
That's where the nice guy turns into the doormat. The fix isn't to stop being kind. The fix is to add self-respect to the kindness. That means learning to do things like saying no when something doesn't work for you.
No, bitch,
having
no.
your own plans in life, teasing a little instead of always praising, not chasing attention constantly. Because confidence isn't about being loud or arrogant. Confidence is basically just being comfortable with who you are and not trying to win approval every 5 minutes.
Yeah, but Brad, I feel like that's easier said than done for guys. I mean, I don't see that being an easy task to do. If you are normally this kind of a passive, go with the flow type of Joe, and you need to step up your game as far as your confrontation skills and your confidence skills, and maybe you lack in like you have social anxiety or something like that, and you get anxiety issues when you go in public, or I don't know, like some sort of fragile shit. But that's just like how you're made, and you're trying to, I don't know. I just feel that situation is not an easy one to convert to. But if you you are who you are, but who you surround yourself with, right? So maybe if you go out there, instead of finding some bitches right away, you get some new friends that are a little bit more aggressive and start hanging out with them fuckers. And then you will start to build up a little bit of a little bit of an attitude, a little bit of a pep in your step that you need, that you didn't have before. And maybe that will be the answer to kind of getting through that shell, that turtle shell, climbing through that hard turtle shell. Get yourself an ice pick and start chipping away, because that doesn't seem like that's something that you have to like, that's not an overnight thing, I don't think. I mean, I'm not.
Debbie, you're actually onto something there, even if you dressed it up in your usual colorful vocabulary. You're right. For a lot of guys, this isn't some overnight switch where they wake up and suddenly they're confident, charismatic, and walking into rooms like they own the place. That's Hollywood nonsense. Confidence is usually built in layers, and environment plays a huge role in that. If a guy spends all his time around people who are passive, avoid confrontation, never push themselves socially, then he never practices those muscles. But when you start surrounding yourself with people who are a little more outgoing, assertive, socially comfortable, you start picking up behaviors without even realizing it. Mm-hmm. Humans are social copy machines. But here's the other thing guys need to hear. You don't fix confidence by pretending to be someone you're not. You fix it by getting comfortable doing small, uncomfortable things repeatedly. Simple stuff like starting conversations with strangers, making eye contact, speaking up when you disagree, asking someone out instead of overthinking it for 3 weeks. Those are small reps that slowly build that backbone. And Debbie, the funny part is most women don't expect a guy to walk in like some alpha movie character. What they respond to is when a guy shows progress and effort. A guy who's willing to step slightly outside his comfort zone tends to stand out more than the guy who never tries at all. So the takeaway for guys listening is this. You don't need to become a different person. You just need to expand the version of yourself you already are.
I mean, that's kind of becoming a different person, Brad. I mean, that's still, or maybe we'll use the word enhancing your qualities of a human, that's it is. It's the enhancement project. That's what it is. You want a new bitch? You want a good bitch? You want a soulmate bitch? You got to enhance your personality, bitch. So I was thinking too, on the lines of what you were just saying, and back to that conversation thing about guys. when they ruin it when they first meet a chick or whatever. I would have to say when a guy asks me questions, I don't mind all that. Like literally open book syndrome right here. But I don't like it when the whole event is about like questioning me, and then into more to tiny little details of the questions. Like you start out like, hey, what's your favorite color? And then what's your second favorite color? What's your third favorite color? What's your third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth color? What's your backup bubble color? Like those layers. I don't like all that interrogation. That's what it feels like. It feels like interrogation. I feel like, okay, why is this fucker asking me these detailed of a question? Like, he's really taking note. He's examining. He is running a CSI FBI report on me as I'm speaking, and he's soaking in every little note that I'm saying. And I don't like that. I like to keep the conversation fluffy, back and forth, a little fluff. Not even about like past. I don't even like to talk about the past. Talking about the past to me and just meeting me is like, I don't want to hear it. I don't give a fuck. You can't change the past. So why do we talking about it? I like to talk about the present and the future. I like to talk about intellectual things. I like to talk about the sky, the moon, the universe, all that good stuff. I don't want to talk about politics or religion or, your baby mamas or your kids, or your pets and dogs, like no pun intended. But that is just something that I just feel uncomfortable right off the bat. And it's just one of those, just meh, I don't like it. And sometimes I won't even indulge into, like, I won't even point it out. I'll just exit, get cricket myself out of that situation. Bye. And then I just disappear. Sorry, guys. I mean, sometimes you got to ghost when you got to ghost. Women know when we got to ghost. Okay. We know we got to be crickets, silent, and we know when we got to ghost because it's just, just better. Just sometimes the world's better.
Brad, Debbie, what you just described right there is actually one of the most common mistakes guys make on early dates. And they don't even realize they're doing it. They think they're being interested, but it starts feeling like an interview. And the moment a date feels like a job interview, the energy dies. Because attraction usually grows from shared moments, not from collecting data. A lot of guys fall into what I call question stacking. They ask, what do you do for work? Where did you grow up? Do you have siblings? What's your favorite color? What's your second favorite color? And before you know it, the conversation feels like someone filling out a tax return. What usually works better is something much simpler. Statements and stories instead of interrogation. Instead of, where's the coolest place you've ever traveled? A guy might say, last year I went to this little beach town and the sunset looked like the sky was on fire. Yeah, now the conversation opens naturally. You can respond with a story, a memory, or something you like.
Right.
It becomes shared experience, not a checklist. And the other thing you mentioned is interesting too. You said you prefer talking about present and future energy rather than digging through the past.
Totally.
A lot of people feel that way on first meetings because the first date isn't really about history. It's about answering one question. Do I enjoy being around this person right now? If that answer is yes, then the deeper stuff comes later. If the vibe isn't there, no amount of detailed questioning is going to rescue it. So the rule for guys is pretty simple. Ask a few questions, sure, but spend more time building a vibe than building a profile.
Yeah.
Because nobody falls for someone based on their favorite color statistics. They fall for how the interaction feels. And Debbie, I have to ask, when you're on a first date and the vibe is good, what's usually the moment where you think, okay, this might actually be fun?
I literally am a firm believer of chemistry. So if there's chemistry and there is I'll feel it. I just can't explain it. If you have never felt chemistry with somebody when you first meet them, then I don't know how to explain it to you. It's a feeling that your body gives off, and you can tell if the other person feels it too. It's a mutual feeling that both parties will feel. I mean, sometimes it's one-sided. Don't get me wrong. Yes, it definitely has its moments of one-sidedness, but if you both feel it, you both feel it. I mean, I would say usually the guy always feels it, but like it's always me that lacks in that department. But hey, I gotta I gotta like put some of my, I gotta make some smart choices when it comes to my relationships, because it's a lot of time investment. It's an investment. It is investment with an ROI. You know what they say, that your health and everything, your heartbeat and everything is so much more beats to a new, beat. And you are a totally different charismatic person when you have love in your life and you have this feeling of like pheromones blowing all around the place, when you have like passion in your life with your partner. And that's something that you probably need for some longevity, and I want some of that now. I didn't want it there for a minute because I was still focusing on some of my career and stuff, which I still am, but now I can figure out a balance. So back to the questions here on the next one, Brad. The next one is Quora again. It says, how important is physical attraction for women compared to emotional connection? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take the mic on this one for right now, and you can answer it. I would say right off the bat, I need both of those worlds, because the physical attraction thing is important to me in my perspective as a female, because I have been through the ugly duckling phase. I've been through the grow, quote unquote, grow to love them type of thing. And I don't want to do that bullshit anymore. I want instant gratification. I want instant satisfaction instantly. Like, I want to be, when I see the person, I'm like, he's a good looking guy. He's a good looking guy. He's, every female has their own style too, their own look, their own type. And even though we don't know what it is, we have it. We know it when we see it. And that would be what I want. I want that instant attraction right there. It doesn't mean they have to be some 1920, some 20-year-old looking Brad, or some Brad Pitt. I mean, Brad, I don't know why I said Brad, but I know your code, anyway. Good Lord. Anyway, so it doesn't have to be that way, but my looks, what I like in the style type of a guy, is different on every sort of occasion. I don't really have a type. I just know it when I see it or feel it. So that would be definitely important to me right off the bat. And also the emotional connection comes with it. I don't know, not so much the emotional connection right away, because that is something I feel like you develop eventually when you start nourishing the relationship, start nourishing it. But like in the beginning, it's just pheromones and chemistry and fire and blaze and good sex and all that stuff. The good sex should stay forever. Like, that's what I'm thinking, But.
All right, Debbie, I'm jumping in on this one because this question confuses a lot of guys. How important is physical attraction for women compared to emotional connection? Short answer, both matter.
Yeah.
Just at different times. Physical attraction is usually the spark. Emotional connection is the fuel that keeps the fire going. For a lot of women, the first thing that happens is exactly what you just described. You see someone and your brain goes, okay, yeah, I could be attracted to this person. That doesn't mean he has to look like Brad Pitt or some magazine model.
Correct.
It just means there's something there. Maybe it's his smile. Maybe it's how he carries himself. Maybe it's the way he talks. But there has to be some initial pull. Now, here's where a lot of guys misunderstand things. They think attraction is only about perfect looks. But a lot of attraction for women actually comes from presence and energy. A guy who walks into a room comfortable in his own skin, making eye contact, speaking confidently, that can raise his attractiveness way higher than his raw physical looks. Now, once that spark exists, the emotional side becomes the deciding factor, because physical attraction might get someone interested, but emotional connection is what makes someone think, okay, I actually want to keep seeing this person. That's where things like humor, conversation, kindness, intelligence, shared values start to matter more. So the reality is this: attraction gets someone through the door. Connection makes them stay in the room. And Debbie, you said something earlier that actually explains it well.
Yes.
You said when the chemistry is there, you feel it. That's usually the moment when physical attraction and emotional energy start lining up at the same time. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, that's when people start thinking, all right, this might actually turn into something.
Yeah, that's true, Brad. Very true. It's just an unexplained feeling, people. You just got to know it. And by now, whatever age you are, if you're in your 40s and stuff, you should have experienced it by now. But moving on. So, okay, next question. Read it over here. Let me go to the inbox. Okay, what makes a man instantly lose a woman's respect? What makes a man instantly lose a woman? Okay, right off the top of my head, I'm thinking of when we are first meeting or we're first out of dating. Dating sounds like such a dated word. It's like, I don't even know. Is there a new word? Is there a new Alpha Gen Z word that they're using instead of the word dating? I'll have to look in the Urban Dictionary. So, or I could just ask Brad. So the question or answer to that, I would say when a guy is always putting other things important, always clock watching, always on his phone, dicking around when I'm talking or telling a story or telling about my day or something that is a eye contact type of conversation, and he's just not giving me the time of day, I will be like, whatever, bitch. I mean, if you can't put me if you can't, wait, what's that Marilyn Monroe saying? If you can't handle me in my worst, you don't deserve me in my best, bitch, or whatever she says. But that would be one of the things that right off the top of my head is definitely not paying attention and using distractions of the world instead of making me feel like I'm numero uno. I need to be the numero uno reina, bitch. That's what I need to be. Not second, not third, but numero uno. That's where it is. So there's probably a bunch of other things that fall into that same category of the pay attention and priority.
All right, Debbie, that's actually a good one to start with because attention and respect are tied together. If a guy is glued to his phone while you're talking, the signal he's sending is basically whatever you're saying is less interesting than this screen. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's a fast way to lose blues points. But if we're answering the question honestly for the guys listening, what makes a man instantly lose a woman's respect? There are a few big ones. First, lack of confidence in his own decisions. If a guy asks, where do you want to eat? I don't know. Where do you want to eat? I don't know. Where do you want to eat?
Yeah. That whole where do you eat thing. Okay, Brad, before you get on that one real quick, the whole where you eat thing. Yeah, that is a big one because listen, people, I like the 5 stars. Don't get me wrong. I like, if there's a 6-star, I like 6-star. I like the 5 stars, but sometimes I'll do a 2.5. It depends on what I'm wearing. If I'm all bouged up, 5. If I'm like cash, hoodie, whatever, then a 2.53, maybe 4. But picking out a location, I feel like the guy should be the one that brings that to the table. Because as much as I'm creative and I have all this content in my head about creativity, I don't like to be creative in the dining department. I know what I'll eat anything, not everything, but like not octopus and stuff. But like I will eat mostly anything. Give me a steak, bitch. But I like it when the guy definitely picks out,
back and forth makes it look like he's afraid to lead even the smallest decision. Second, talking badly about everyone else. If a guy spends the whole conversation complaining about his ex, his boss, his friends, his life, that tells a woman he probably brings drama everywhere he goes.
Yeah, nobody likes a negative Nancy in that one at all, or a Debbie Downer. That's a good point. And I think that's you can tell who he is and his personality. He's going to talk shit about you the same way he's talking shit about all these other people. So that is one thing to pay attention to, definitely, for sure. I agree with that one.
Third, trying too hard to impress. Ironically, the more a guy tries to prove how amazing he is, the more it can feel like he's trying to sell himself instead of just being comfortable. And the last big one, disrespecting other people. A guy might think he's impressing a woman by acting tough or arrogant, but if he's rude to a waiter, rude to strangers, or dismissive toward people, that's a red flag most women pick up on immediately.
Yes, we do.
Because the thought that runs through a lot of women's minds is, if he treats them like that, eventually he'll treat me like that. Mm-hmm. So respect usually disappears the moment someone shows a lack of character, not just a lack of charm. And Debbie, I'll throw one back at you because This one is interesting. Is there something a guy can do on the flip side, something small, that actually earns respect immediately the first time you meet him?
Yeah, there are some small things that mean a lot or mean big. I would say knowing the little details about a female, doing your research before you meet her and doing some extensive research. It's like little cute things, like knowing her birthday and saying it in a conversation that is totally unbeknownst to her. Like saying, hey, that concert, that, I don't know, give me a name. Like, New Kids on the Block. New Kids on the Block is coming to town, I think on your birthday, February 21st. And, and then she'll be like, wow, like he like knows my birthday already. Like, and that's not like a stalker thing. That's more of he has taken the time to really pay attention to what my birthday is, to know the little details, because little details add up very big in the beginning and throughout the relationship. Totally. Don't lose that little charm. So, and another way to really find out her birthday, if you didn't have time to research her birthday or anything and you see her car, look at her driver's license. Her license plate on her car. It'll say her registration month. So you could just literally guess the month. You'll know the month. You just may not know the date, but you'll be like, oh my gosh, yes, this New Kids on the Block, they're coming to town in February. Isn't that your birthday month? We should go there. But the only time it's like not her birthday, then you can find out too some information. You can find out, oh, she'll be like, my birthday's not in February. Why are you trying to say my birthday's in February? And then you just be like, I don't know, it was just a lucky guess. I thought you were a Pisces. And then you know, like, okay, who's her car registered to? Who is the other person on this car? Like, why isn't that car her car? And then you've figured out your own investigation. That's a whole different like avenue I'm going down. But like, that's like, I don't even know what you were early asking me, Brad. What was the question? I went down CSI Avenue, like for real. My head was like, oh, you were asking me about the little things to make a guy get more respect. Just being a non-douchebag, like literally just showing up to the table and not being a douche.
All right, Debbie, I'm going to jump in before this turns into Dating Investigation Unit CSI Apollo Beach, because the first part of what you said is actually very true. And the second part started drifting into private detective territory. Let's bring it back to something the guys listening can actually use without accidentally creeping someone out.
Still use that.
You were right about the core idea. Women notice attention to detail. If a guy remembers things like her birthday, her favorite drink, the band she said she liked, the trip she mentioned wanting to take, that shows he was actually listening. And listening is one of the biggest signs of respect and interest. But the key difference is how you learn those details. The best way isn't detective work. It's simply paying attention during conversations. For example, if she casually says, yeah, my birthday's coming up next month, a guy who remembers that later and says, hey, your birthday's coming up soon, right? That moment hits because it shows he paid attention, not because he ran a background check.
Brad. Okay, my technique still does work, and it would work even if that happened to me, and it has happened to me, and I've actually used it too. So it's not investigation. It's like sometimes there's the group of guys out there that don't have time to do all this research, and they want to like throw in some cute little charm, sidekick charm. So that is a good tactic. You have to admit, to use that will help a guy weed out some bitches that shouldn't be, dating. Some fishy, scammy sounded bitches, catfishing sounded. I'm just saying that is just a little like, keep that in your back pocket. It's one of those back pocket little tips, tricks that, you could use for a rainy day. And you never know. It could help you. And then you can thank me later on that one, because I know it works for sure, because I would be like, holy shit, like, how does he know my birthday already? Like, we just met on the beach. I don't understand. Like, wow.
All right, Debbie, fair enough. I see what you're getting at. You're talking about a little playful deduction, not building a full FBI case file on someone before dessert shows up.
Background check,
and you're
maybe.
right about one part of that strategy. Sometimes a guy throwing out a light, playful guess can actually create a fun moment, like saying, let me guess, you seem like someone whose birthday is in the winter. Now it becomes banter, not investigation. And banter is actually a huge part of attraction, because when two people start doing that playful back and forth, it creates something that's way more powerful than memorizing facts. It creates chemistry in the moment. The problem only happens when the guessing turns into too much analysis, because if someone starts feeling like they're being examined under a microscope, the vibe disappears. But when it's playful, that's where it works. It becomes a little game between two people. And honestly, Debbie, that kind of playful teasing is something a lot of men forget to do on dates. They think they have to be serious, impressive, or perfect. But most of the time, what actually builds attraction is just having fun with the conversation. A little curiosity, a little humor, a little mystery. Because when the interaction feels fun, that's when people start thinking, okay, I want to see this person again.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap this one up, Debbie, let me throw this back to you. If you had to give one final piece of advice to the men listening today about dating or relationships, what would it be?
I mean, why do you always gotta put me on the spot, Brad? I mean, come on now. What would be, okay, what was the question again? If I had to, what? Before we wrap up, Debbie, okay, wait. If you had to give one final piece of advice, the men listening today about dating or relationships. Okay. I would say if I don't have just one. I would have to say change your profile pictures. Have a good profile picture. Like present yourself in a cute, like put together way that gives you a first impression to maybe get some more action in your life. I would say, I don't know. I just feel like my first impression of people, of guys trying to, if I'm out there like 100% searching for a relationship and I'm on the hunt, right? I'm going through profile pictures and I'm not looking at your actual profile. I'm not clicking on you. I'm not, nothing like that. I'm just scanning, like, if I'm on TikTok, if I'm on Facebook, if I'm on Instagram, I'm on Threads, I'm on YouTube, like wherever I'm at. And if I am scanning through shit, going down rabbit holes and all that, I'm not stopping, dropping on everybody's profile. I don't do that. I'm a scammer. We're all scammers. Scamming through. So if you're a good looking guy and you're my type, one of my types, and you have a shitty profile picture or you have something that doesn't represent you well, then that I'm going to pass right by you. And maybe you were supposed to be my soulmate. Or maybe I was supposed to be your soulmate. And I will just, bye. Maybe we'll meet up again sometime when you change your profile picture. And when you change your profile picture, don't put these AI looking shit either. Don't put stuff on there just like us women are, it's supposed to simmer down on the filters, right? Simmer down on the AI filters. I mean, I think guys are getting used to the AI whole like imagery and they're learning how to do it, and so now they're all like, oh my gosh, this is such a cool tool. I can make myself look like I have a 6.5 pack and I'm tan and I'm on a beach with my shirt flowing open and I have all this hair on my face, and which I don't, and it's like, no, don't. We know we can tell, guys, we know we can tell this stuff, but it doesn't mean you have to totally not make yourself look presentable using lighting and all that good stuff. But I would just say simmer down on all the like extra things and just make a good looking picture. Pretend you're in senior picture day and you have to do a senior picture. That's what I would have to say about that. I mean, that's where it's all starts. The profile picture is where it starts. That's how it starts in my world. It's like,
all right, Debbie, that's actually a really solid point to end on, because a lot of guys underestimate how important that visual impression is in the modern dating world. Most relationships today don't start at a coffee shop anymore. They start on a screen. And the reality is people are scrolling fast. So if your profile picture looks like a blurry selfie from 2009, sunglasses and a hat hiding your face, a group photo where nobody knows which guy you are, or a weird AI-generated superhero version of yourself, most people will just scroll past. Not because they're shallow, but because there are thousands of profiles competing for attention. Your photo is basically your first handshake, and the guys who do well usually keep it simple. Clear photo, good lighting, genuine smile, no weird filters, looks like a real human being. Because the moment someone suspects the photo is fake or overly edited, trust drops immediately. And trust is one of the first things people are subconsciously measuring when they're deciding whether to click on someone's profile. So Debbie's point actually hits something important. In a world where everyone is scrolling, your profile picture isn't just a picture. It's your introduction before you ever speak. And sometimes that one image determines whether someone thinks, I'm curious about this person. Or next. So guys listening, if you haven't looked at your profile picture in 5 years, it might be time for a little upgrade, because attraction might start with chemistry. But in today's world, it often starts with a thumbnail. And with that, Debbie, I think we just helped half the internet improve their dating chances by at least 5%, which honestly might be the biggest public service this podcast has done all week.
Thanks, Brad. Yes, thank you for that. And by the way, don't put any of those like repeat pictures in theirs either. Like, make sure that you put like a fresh one. We see the repeats in there. We will scan through them. So thank you for joining this show today, The Vaginas. If you've got a question and want Brad and I to answer, drop it in the comments or send it to us and we might feature it on the next episode. So make sure you have a wonderful day. Be positive and peace out, bitches.